Mattis never married or had children, so perhaps the people who knew him best are the Marines who served with him over a 44-year military career. To them, Mattis is a legend.
He has a unique ability to not only empathize but connect with, all the Marines and all the of all ranks under all levels of his charge.
Chris Weimer of San Diego was a young lance corporal in 2004 when Mattis led the 1st Marine Division in Fallujah. It was one of the deadliest battles of the Iraq War.
Target!
Mattis spoke with Weimer's battalion as the troops were finally leaving Iraq.
You literally felt like he was thanking you as an individual and as a Marine for what you had done.
Clark Lethine was Mattis's chief of staff in Iraq and Afghanistan. He now directs the USC Institute for Creative Technologies in L.A. Lethine can't ever recall seeing Mattis lose control. Instead, he saw a thoughtful and scholarly commander who had a personal library of over 7,000 volumes. He'd let Lethine's young sons come in and borrow books.
And they'd come in sometimes and say, "Dad, look at this." And here would be Jim's notes on the side.
Mattis cemented his blunt reputation at a conference in San Diego in 2005. The general briefly got into trouble with the Pentagon when he talked about shooting Taliban.
It's fun to shoot some people. I'll be right up on you. I like brawling.
Brawling. It's the kind of plain-spoken language that Lethine says Mattis would use to defend his young Marines.
And sometimes they have to kill. And they should know and they should have confidence in their organization and the institution in this country that they're being asked to do that, and if they have to do it, then they should not feel guilty.
This week, the Senate Armed Services Committee took testimony on whether to waive the requirement that the Secretary of Defense be out of the military for at least 7 years. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York was one of 17 Democrats who voted against the waiver, which passed the Senate Thursday.
Do you plan on rolling back the opening of infantry positions to women based on your previous statements?
During his confirmation hearing Thursday morning, Gillibrand pressed Mattis on speeches he'd made after he retired in 2013. Mattis responded,
"Unless a service chief brings something to me where there's a problem that's been proven, then I'm not going in with an idea that I'm going to review these and right away start rolling something back."
Some of Mad Dog's initial critics have softened. They now see Mattis as a counterweight to the things Trump said during the campaign, for instance, on torture.
I would bring back waterboarding, and I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding.
Lethine says that isn't Mattis's view of torture.
I don't think he believes in that, in torture. It doesn't seem to have benefited us all that much.
Lethine was with Mattis in Afghanistan in 2001 when the Marines were tasked with setting up a camp for detainees.
We set up a facility that was as good as we could set up for those detainees, abiding by the rules of the Geneva Convention. In some cases, those detainees were living better than our Marines on the front lines.
Now, there are still questions. His disclosure to the Office of Government Ethics shows Mattis made millions since his retirement, mostly from paid speeches and consulting fees. Goldman Sachs and defense contractor Northrop Grumman are on that list. He has resigned his seat on the board of directors of General Dynamics. The Washington Post reports Mattis has already clashed behind the scenes with members of the Trump team over staffing of the Defense Department. Lethine says he doesn't expect the former head of Central Command to shrink in the face of strong personalities.
General Mattis is, in many cases, very transparent. And if he doesn't like something, he's going to make that known.
Steve Walsh, KPBS News.